All right, it's 6:30. Welcome to the February 17th Select Board meeting. Mary Ann, Hazel, and I are present in the room. Tom, are you with us on Zoom?
Yes, I am.
And Lloyd, are you with us on Zoom?
Yes, I am.
Okay, since we have two members participating by Zoom, all our votes will be by voice tonight. Let's begin the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. This flag is in the back.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and for the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with indivisibility and yeah.
Is anyone brave enough to say they have additional business not included on the published agenda tonight?
Well, me.
Good, no one is so brave.
No.
Are there any conflicts of interest with tonight's business and board members?
Not known.
No.
No,
The first item of business are the meeting minutes from January 20th that was tabled last meeting. Has everyone had an opportunity to look at those?
Yep.
Could we have a motion to approve those?
Motion to approve minutes for January 20th, 2026.
Second, any discussion? Okay, vote. Mary Ann,
Vote yes.
Hazel,
Abstain.
Lloyd,
yes,
Tom?
I was absent.
Okay, Henry says yes, so the motion passes. Consider approving the select board meeting minutes for the February 3rd meeting.
Motion to approve select board meeting minutes for February 3rd, 2026.
Okay, any discussion? Mary Ann,
Abstain.
Hazel,
Hazel says yes.
Tom, were you here for that meeting?
I only missed one, so if I already said absent one, I'll say yes for the next one. I'm good.
Okay, Lloyd?
yes,
Henry says yes, motion passes. Warrants and donations. Payroll warrant number 30. I'll make the motion to approve payroll warrant number 30 in the amount of $11,626.40.
Second.
Any discussion? Mary Ann,
Yes.
Hazel,
Yes.
Lloyd,
yes,
Tom?
Yes.
Henry says yes, motion passes. Consider approving accounts payable number 31 in the amount of $58,395.51.
Second.
Shannon, is there anything that you have to tell us about that?
Yeah, so on this one, you'll see Central Maine Power. There's a reissue of a check that was last approved at the last meeting on January 6th. But that is in the total amount of $843.58. So again, it's just a reissue. The general administration for tax administration under Elon Financial Services and then also under Kennebec County Registry of Deeds. Those are both for tax administration, which exceeds the budget line, but they are both covered underneath the general administration category. And then workers' compensation fund and the unemployment fund under Maine, we will cover that under the general administration category as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Nope.
Okay, Henry says yes.
Mary Ann says yes.
Hazel, yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Lloyd,
yes,
motion passes. Consider accepting donations in the amount of $2,825.45 to supplement existing appropriations for Ladd Recreation Center programs. I'll move that we accept those donations.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, Mary Ann,
Mary Ann says yes.
Hazel,
Hazel, yes.
Lloyd,
yes,
Tom,
Tom says yes.
Henry says yes, motion passes. consider approving a transfer in the amount of $1,145.45 from the Lad Center Programs Reserve Account to the Lad Center Operating Account for the purchase of a bench. Just tell us briefly what the scoop is on this one, Shannon.
And so this is, I had mentioned this at the last meeting as well. This is just a housekeeping item that we are moving from the Winthrop Area Federal Credit Union account for that purchase of a bench. It was actually requested some months ago.
I will make a motion that we transfer the $1,145.45 from the Lad Rec Center Programs Reserve Account to the Lad Recreation Center Operating Account for the purchase of a bench.
Second.
Any discussion? Mary Ann?
Marianne says yes.
Hazel, yes.
Henry, yes. Lloyd?
Lloyd, yes.
Tom's a yes.
Okay. Motion passes 5-0. Moving on to new business, public hearing on the liquor license renewal application for On the Green
We
in,
skipped
oh,
E.
The one with the aging at home.
okay.
Sorry, that was added to.
Nope, sorry.
Okay.
Consider approving donations in the amount of $400 to supplement the existing appropriation for the Aging at Home program.
So move.
I'll second. Any discussion? Okay, Henry says yes.
Marianne, yes.
Hazel, yes.
Tom's a yes.
Lloyd?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 5-0. And now we can move on to new business. I wanted to have a policy or a practice where whenever we had a public hearing, I could tell people exactly what the hearing was about and what the consequences of it were. But to tell you the truth, I can't figure it out on this liquor license application. It seems like it's a state deal. I'm not sure what our position is, but here's what I propose. We have a public hearing. If there is objection voiced to this in the public hearing, then we can always table it, try to find out what to do about it, and bring it back next meeting. With that being said, I'll open the public hearing on the Green Indoor Golf application to renew their on-premises consumption license. Does anyone have anything they want to be heard on that? Okay, I will close the public hearing on the same thing. And take a motion on accepting the liquor license renewal application for On the Green Indoor Golf.
I move we accept the liquor license renewal application for On the Green Indoor Golf.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Any issues?
Okay, Henry says
anyone's aware-
yes.
Any issues
Yes,
anyone's
please.
aware of with operating under the prior license?
There have been no issues or complaints.
All right. Sounds good to me then.
Okay, there being no further discussion, let's go ahead and vote. Henry-
Marianne's yes.
Hazel,
yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Yes.
Henry's a yes, motion passes 5-0. Consider appointment of Emily Saunders to the Wayne Farmers Market Committee. I believe Emily is filling a vacancy in that committee. That was maybe Morgan Burtwell, I believe. And we have a application from the committee, their recommendation to do the appointment. And so is there a motion?
Move to appoint Emily Saunders to the Wayne Farmers Committee.
Okay, I'll second it. Discussion by the board.
Thank you, Emily Saunders.
Okay, public comment on this motion. Do I have all this right?
We do, we're just grateful to have a young person on the committee, another young person. Morgan was
Amen.
representatives, hopefully she'll stay with us for a few years while she's in high school and college.
Okay, thank you, Teresa. There being no further discussion, let's, did we take a motion on that?
Yes, you
Yes.
did.
Okay, let's vote. Henry says yes.
Marianne, yes.
Hazel, yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Lloyd?
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes 5-0, and we welcome Emily and thank her for her service on the Farmers Market Committee. Next item, consider applications for appointment of 5 building committee members. I'm gonna let Shannon fill us in on what's going on here.
So we put out, you have approved a charge on November 4th in 2025 for a buildings committee. We have since put it out on social media. We've put it out on our website. We've sent it out over through the email distribution list. And so the deadline for that was February 9th, when we received 2 applications. So that would be Cheryl Lang and then Gloria Ladd have applied for that. I think that the select board could choose, if they wanted to go ahead and appoint those 2 now. Or they could also extend the date, but it's up to you how you want to proceed. And you could direct me to extend it and just add another 3 later if you'd like.
I've also had discussions, I think the building committee would benefit, the current applicants are great, I have no issue with that, but I think the committee could benefit from the experience of someone with building trades experience. And I've spoken with Fred Duplessis, and I'm sure you all know Fred, and he has indicated that he would be willing to serve on the committee. Do we want to make Fred fill out an application since we only have 2 applicants out of 5, or do we just want to go ahead and consider Fred as an additional candidate for the committee?
What do we do with these applications? Do we keep them?
We do file them at the office and maintain them.
I think in that case, we need to ask him to fill one out just procedurally.
Okay, well then,
That policy dictates it too, that
You can have
Yes.
them come in at the next
yeah,
meeting.
ask Fred, you can contact him and ask him for an application. I told him we might be wanting one.
Okay.
And he said he would fill one out. And you are absolutely correct. It is a policy, but it is our policy and we can waive it.
I don't think it hurts
yeah,
to have
Yeah,
documentation.
no, I
Right.
think it's fine. Fred said he'd fill one out
That's
and
great.
give him a call. Let's have public discussion on this.
I'd just like to say I volunteered because I've been on the rec center board since the early 1980s. And we know a lot about the improvements we've made in that time. So I think that I know a goodly amount about the building. And that's one of the reasons I volunteered, because I thought that I would have knowledge, or I would know where to get the knowledge, like Chase Morrow was on our board and he helped us with certain things. Also, you're probably thinking along these lines, but shouldn't we have someone from the fire department on this committee?
We do. Yes, we had 2 additional spots. So when we advertised or put in the charge, it had 5 at-large community members, and then 1 from the Lad Rec Center as a representative, and 1 from the fire department as a representative as well. Those are the 2 additional appointed positions.
Okay,
Mhm.
because I just know a little bit about the history of the fire department building, so, but I made me think that it would be a good idea to have somebody who been a member for a while too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that raises an interesting perspective because Gloria, you'll be representing the at-large position. So is the rec center also putting a name forward?
Gloria is representing the board.
So that means we only have 1 at-large plus
Mhm.
Right,
Yes,
plus Fred.
Correct. So we'll advertise for more.
yes.
I think we should.
I think it would be good. It would be very beneficial. I did receive back an update from our Maine Municipal Association Risk Management Services. We did a walkthrough a couple months ago of all the properties, all the buildings, and made a list of all the things that need to be done. And so with that, the priorities of work would be to do that assessment and list out what the priorities are with that buildings committee on what we need to get done. And hopefully that'll help drive our capital improvements plan
That's
for
great.
the buildings.
That's great you got that done.
so do we want to appoint the existing applicants or wait until we get more?
Oh, a point.
Let's accept them with
Okay.
gratitude
Yes.
Okay,
and let the
Yeah.
process continue.
Yes, ma'am.
I have another suggestion. The schoolhouse, which was renovated or refurbished or whatever, that there was a committee of people who worked on that. And I wasn't on that committee, but I think that the McKees and the Stevensons were. So I don't know if Bob McKee would be interested in doing something like that? Because I'm sure he knows a lot about that.
It's worth an ask, right?
Okay.
We'll put that on Shannon's to-do list. Is that fair?
It's fair. I've got
Okay.
Fred Duplessis and Bob McKee.
Do you want a second piece of paper for that list?
It's good. Thank you. All right, so at this time,
Who-
are you,
Yeah, let's, you wanna make, anybody wanna make a motion to accept the applicants?
Move we accept the applicants of the 3 applicants for the positions of the building committee.
We
Members?
we only have 2, because we're gonna get an application from Fred.
Yes.
So we have
Okay.
Gloria and the other person's name?
Carol, they're both in here.
Yes,
Yeah.
those 2. I was
Yeah.
thinking Fred's. I was
Yeah.
at lumping him in, but we're gonna wait. Okay.
I'll second that. Is there any discussion? Any other public comment? Henry says yes on the vote.
Marianne says yes.
Hazel says yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Lloyd?
Yes,
Okay. The next item is the Glad Center Glad Recreation Center ordinance. And I could have better described this agenda item as discuss town ordinance for governance and operation of the Lad Recreation Center programs. And that's what we're going to be doing. In mid-January, the LRC board sent us a draft provisions for the body of an ordinance. That document's in our package. I think it starts on page 30, at least it did on the published packet.
It does.
Shortly afterwards, I sent an email with an attached file, HDEC comments and questions for board members' information in advance of our discussion. Yesterday, I sent out another copy of that in case anyone didn't have it or couldn't find the first one. So let's open the board discussion on these documents and next steps to be taken toward finalizing ordinance language to propose to the next town meeting. That's on the table and open for board discussion.
So I think where we got to, was we asked the rec center subcommittee to come up with an ordinance for an operating agreement for the operation of the, programs. And where we got a little bit hung up is whether, whether it becomes a town department or not. And then I think we had a couple of different perspectives last time. A small group of us met at the select board, because not all of the
Mhm.
select board members were present. And I think I was advocating that we work through different perspectives on how we might want to put something for legal review, or at least get to a common ground with the rec center. And I think, Henry, your perspective, well, you speak for yourself on what your perspective was. I've looked very carefully at yours. I've looked very carefully at the ordinance that was drafted. I've got some scratchings and word notes, revisions. But I think it warrants more redlining before we put anything in front of the lawyers.
Anything else? Anybody else?
I find that I appreciate all the questions you brought up. They were good ones. But I don't think that some of these questions can be answered within this board by any means. I think that this would require a meeting perhaps between the board, maybe a work session between the board and the LRC to get some of these things straightened and answered. There are many questions that you have that really, I think, are to the LRC board and not something that we would have the information about. I did also agree with a lot of your points about addressing some of these things in bylaws, pulling them out of the ordinance and putting them elsewhere. So the ordinance should be a little less bulky. And then I did have one logistical thing that I would like to see potentially changed, that is not a question, and that is in the ordinance, it suggests that the LAD budget center, and I know you had a lot of questions, or the LAD center budget be finalized and given to Shannon, the town manager, before April 1st, but I think that would, looking at our schedule now, really cause a lot of trouble. We need to move that back a month. That's an easy one,
To March 1st?
to March
Yeah.
1st.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'd fix on that or any timeframes. I think what's missing from this is a clear articulation of what the town of Wayne owns and is responsible for, what the Lad Recreation Center
Mhm.
owns and is responsible for. Right up
Yeah.
front,
But,
but there's other stuff, I think it's gonna take a
Well-
work session or some way of
Yeah,
coming
Well,
to
I
consensus.
mean, are
Well-
they a department? Is there a lot of pushback about them being a department? Are the basics of the management and governance have not been fully addressed.
yeah, and my comments and questions really were to the board members.
I understand.
And that's like the first comment was, if the goal of the ordinance is to provide for operation of the programs as a town department, I suggested that first paragraph be reworded. If the goal is to provide for some other type of arrangement or structure, I suggested that the paragraph should be revised to provide language that clearly states what that arrangement is. As an
Which speaks to
example.
my point.
Yeah, as an
What-
example.
yeah.
Exactly. I think that this does not get
And-
us out of the conundrum we're in now.
Okay, and so, that the draft ordinance doesn't get us out of the conundrum that we're in now?
That's what I
Okay,
believe.
yeah, and so, Tom and Lloyd, do you have anything to add into this?
For my
Or
part,
go
I've
on.
got nothing.
Okay,
The-
Tom?
The earlier question about where the questions were being addressed, I actually had assumed, even though I knew it was a board discussion, that some of those questions were intended also for the lad folks. Because I thought, to me, intuitively, I said, well, they're the ones who wrote it initially, and you said if it's something other than that. But I did expect that this was going to be the conversation first. There was one line in here as well where you've got, let me find it, regarding utilization of Lad Rec Center beyond youth recreational programs and community events. The center has seemed like a catch-all for different events at different times, but I don't know if non-youth and community catches everything. But it was something, I think you had asked the question, and I also wondered, is there something we should be considering not making sure we don't use a LAD center for? Is there some other way to, or do we keep it as a building that we use for all kinds of things? We have elections, right? There are a number of things. I don't know if that needs to specifically be addressed. You asked the question, I don't have an answer to it.
Well, and my question sort of related to, it is a town building, there's no question about that. But my question related to, let's say the recreation center aspect of it. Does this ordinance just address the operation of youth programs? Or should this ordinance also address the use of the LAD Center by a quilting group? Or the use of the LAD Center for Zumba class or for Tai Chi? I mean, are those things that also should be drafted in here? And my, I'm putting this to the board. There's any number of things that I see are possible. We could just send this ordinance to legal counsel as it is and have them say, is it okay or is it not? We could send it to the legal counsel with comments. We could respond with comments to the LRC board and have further meetings. I think the sentiment that I'm seeing is that's the choice that you all are opting for. That we
Yes.
should respond with comments to the LRC board.
Yes.
And maybe set some more meetings. Who wants to participate in those meetings? I've contributed everything that I have to contribute to this, other than facilitating the select board and coming to a decision.
I would like to participate in that.
Okay,
I
Who else?
would participate as I can.
okay.
Um,
So do we want to do a subcommittee of Mary Ann and Hazel? Or would we like to have some sort of a joint work session with whoever from the lad board wants to attend, which then would be a public meeting also?
Be happy to do a joint, if that makes it more efficient, that we have a joint session and just share thoughts back and forth to try to come to some consensus. Because it's possible that I don't know if the Lad Rec Center board doesn't want to be overseeing everything that the facility might be used for. That might not be something that they consider to be their their mandate, what they want to be participating in. So I'd just love to get their thoughts on it. Or if they believe that running the facility to be able to accommodate the youth programs, sure, they would like to actually be paying attention to and even providing oversight for other events for the integrity and ongoing, I don't know, keeping up the Lad Center. I'd love to get their thoughts. What do they want to be doing before we start thinking we should be looking separately?
I think in your wording, Henry, you truly broadened the scope of what the Lad Center is used for. And I think, in my mind, that's the direction it should go in. But the Lad Center has a fairly reasonably long history. And there's a lot of culture and there's a lot of town history here. So for us to try to decide, it would be impossible, I think, without input. And my thinking is that the more people we can get in on this, on a joint meeting, the better off we're going to do. Otherwise, we're going to be going back and forth and forth and back.
Okay, so I'm understanding that the consensus is drifting toward contacting the Lad board to find out when they would be available for a joint work session that would be published and it would be open to the public, although it could be a work session just of those two groups. You don't have to allow public comments. But it's a public meeting if it's going to be that way for the full board and whoever from the Lad Center wishes to attend to work on this.
So my concern, if we send another subcommittee off, is, if you're not on that committee, you
Yeah.
obviously have strong feelings.
Uh-huh.
And I don't want to go do all that work
Yeah.
and then, have you or one of the others come back and say, well, we thought it was going to be a town department. I think we have to decide, is it a town department or is it a
Yeah.
ordinance for an operating agreement?
Yeah, and I think I see there are two issues with the operation of the Lad Rec Center programs. One issue has to do with budget and funding and how these programs are depicted in the budget and what goes to the town is approved. I believe I think we can have a handle on that, where that's going to be done this year. The other aspect relates to the opinions that we received from our labor lawyer, Matt, back probably year and a half ago now, that believed that there were liability and control issues with the ambiguity on what exactly the Lad Center is. For example, in one of the reasons that I suggest, if there were going to be a work committee, if we're doing it as a workshop session, then we all need to participate fully. If we're going to have a subcommittee, my old brain is not flexible enough to wrap around a concept that an activity that all the employees are paid by the town, all the bills are paid by the town, they're town employees, the town has the ultimate liability for anything that happens, is not a town department. Now, that's just, like I said, it has to do with old inflexible brain. And so that's why if there was going to be a subcommittee, I'd say, I think I've offered everything. If we're going to do it as a group, hey, let's do it as a group. That sounds good. So do we want to have a motion on this that we are going to contact the Lad Center Board and find out if they want to participate in a group session as we've described. And if they do, then schedule a workshop session. And then maybe the outcome of that will be to break out some subcommittees from both sides to iron out details. Is that,
That's
that's the motion? Is there a second?
second.
Okay, any
You got that?
discussion? Any discussion?
I think one of the other outcomes might be a list of questions that we can actually ask directly to the lawyers without
Yeah,
flooding them with a lot of background, but
I don't believe we've had a lot of luck of getting answers out of them. Some people might say, well, they just didn't give you the answers you wanted. No, I believe they didn't give us answers at all. Where I asked specific questions about language that was priorly proposed by the board, which pretty much reflects what's in here. Their answer was, we understand that's not the way it works. And I found that answer to be unhelpful. But anyway, we've got a motion with respect to this, that that we will meet as in a workshop session. And is there a second to that motion? Did we already get a second?
second it.
Okay,
So while we're still in discussion, is there something before we vote that you would like to seek comment from anybody sitting out there?
public comment?
Eric,
Yes, sir.
I can say as the Lad Center Board Chairman that if you do approve this motion and go forward, that yes, the Lad Center Board is interested in meeting in the joint session. I'm willing to do that, whenever you are available to meet.
Okay, the lad board will show up. So, Tom, do you have anything to add to this?
No, but would that count as we've already reached out to the lad board then, and we've already cross-checked that box and we're good to start scheduling something?
Yep, all we have to do now is if the motion passes, all we have to do is get it on the schedule. Lloyd, do you have anything you want to add?
No, sir.
Okay. Any other public comment? Are we ready to vote? Henry says yes. Oh, yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
It's in reference to programming or staffing, or I don't understand what your concerns are.
I think that I think that I'm left with some questions about some of the staffing and how we manage that between the town, and the town manager and also the board. How do we really do that if that's what has to happen?
You mean in terms of like supervision?
Yes, yeah. I think Henry put it well when he said if the director is to be managed by the town or the board and the town manager, how exactly does that work?
So you're talking about the director that we plan to oversee the programs?
Yes.
Going to be supervising the director, is that?
Yeah, how is that done? Was one of the questions that was brought.
Where's liability issues
Right.
with regard to that position? Mentioned.
Aaron has a hand up.
Yes, ma'am.
So I just had a question for clarification. Is this all separate from the port project and the ports that have just been put up? Is that still considered a town
I believe
facility?
that the building is a town building. The grounds are a town park. The tennis court is part of the grounds and it is a town park. If there's a dispute on that, we need to put that on the table sometime in the future and straighten it out. But I don't see how there's any issue on any of that. The question is the programs that are operated within the building to support the town's youth. Who actually is operating those programs? Are they operated by the town? Are they operated by some other entity? Those are some of the specific questions that need to be answered. I think we could also say we've been focusing on the youth programs, because that's where we have a number of employees who are town employees. But then what actual control does the town exercise over them? That's, people can talk and debate that. Perhaps we need to visit some other things as we go along. For example, if somebody, my understanding is over the years, many activities were conducted in this facility other than youth programs. Okay? And so if somebody wanted to do that, if we wanted to have, making this up, if Aging at Home decided they had a massive increase in their Tai Chi lessons and they wanted to put them in the Lad Center in the winter, who works that out? That's another aspect that perhaps needs to be addressed. And that's what we're talking about. And aside from that, there's a whole issue on money and transparency to the town. And as I said, I think we've got those things. I think we can get a handle on those. Separate from this. Yes, sir.
I don't want to get into the details
Yes.
of the ordinance.
Yes.
I know we'll address a lot of
Yeah.
the questions that you raised when we get together to meet, but I will say that the focus of what we had drafted was on the
Youth programs, yes.
And we did put reference in there that the director, among his other responsibilities, is to coordinate other uses
Mhm.
of the facility so that they do not interfere with the youth programs. Now, if there needs to be further clarity about how far those responsibilities go, we're certainly discussing how to address that.
Yes.
Ken Spalding, I'd just like to point out that the youth programming isn't defined to inside this building. The youth programming uses all of the other parts of the Land Recreation Center. And the Land Recreation Center includes this building, but it also includes all of the grounds and all of the playground and the ball fields. And that's not to say that's not answer the question of who has responsibility for doing what with those things. But all of the property is part of the Land Recreation Center, and it's all owned by the town.
Yeah. I don't believe there's any dispute on that. And I didn't mean to imply that the kids can't go outside. They definitely can. Okay, so. Yes, ma'am.
There are other communities that have all kinds of programs. So this cannot be a problem that's only our problem,
No,
or issue, or however, focus, or however you want to talk about it, not using. So it must be,
Yeah.
there must be something universal about what we're
I
doing.
think.
There must be a
Yes.
model
Yes,
that we
and-
could use as
And
well.
I think this is a good topic for this joint session.
Yeah.
I'd observe, yeah, it goes on a lot. I mean, we have the Cary Memorial Library that is integrated in the town, very, very close. And it's central to the town, just like the Ladd Center, and it's operated by a separate organization. There are library, the Winthrop Friends of the Library is operated by a separate organization. There are ways, but these are matters, I think, for the work session to take up. And I think where we stand now is the motion's been made, it's been accepted. And it's up to Shannon to see what she can do as far as arranging a time for a first meeting. And it would benefit your schedule if we did that at like about 6:30ish, like we are on our meetings here.
Should we vote?
Yeah.
Really better.
Okay, no, that's good.
So there was a motion and a second.
Did we
haven't
vote?
voted on
Oh, it hasn't voted? Okay, I'm sorry. Let's
says
vote.
yes.
Henry says yes.
Mary Ann says yes.
Tom,
Tom says yes.
Lloyd,
Yes,
okay, handle it, Shannon.
All right. We'll get a time set up.
Next item, discuss and review Ladd Special Fund, DBA Neighbors Helping Neighbors. Okay. In June of 2017, I'm just providing some background. In June of 2017, sometime around that time or before then, the town established a bank account which is labeled the H&G Ladd R.L. Jaworski Trust. And that was a separate account set up as a trust fund in the Androscoggin Bank. And at that time, it included about $23,700 for the Ladd Special Fund. Okay, if the Ladd Special Fund is in fact held by the town as a trust fund, that has a specific meaning, okay? If it is a trust fund, there should be a trust instrument. That's a formal document that states the purposes of the trust fund and the rules for its use. There's a state statute that governs this that provides that for the town to accept a trust fund, that document should be presented to and accepted by town meeting. The town has to agree to those terms of trust by law. So far, town staff hasn't been able to locate any trust instrument or evidence of any town meeting accepting a gift in trust. Okay. Now, that same statute says that if this account is indeed a trust account, unless it is otherwise specified in the trust instrument, the municipal officers may spend only the annual income from the trust fund. We don't have a trust instrument, and we put this money into a trust account. And so the $23,700 is not available to distribute as aid to residents. And no withdrawals have been made from this account by the town since 2017.
So this $23,000.
There's more than that now because of interest, but we're gonna talk, have some board discussion and open up for public comments if we can. So now that account hasn't been used. Nothing's been taken out of it. Now, the fact that the account hasn't been used to pay for aid doesn't mean that aid hasn't been distributed. Over the years, we've had additional contributions made to the town for this purpose, and aid has been provided to residents. These revenues and expenditures are recorded and tracked as ledger entries in the town's accounting system. Okay, between June of 17 and June 30th of 2019, expenditures from the fund, the general ledger account, expenditures from the fund exceeded revenues by about $9,700.
So, okay, that helps. It's not, I'm looking at your letter,
Yeah.
page 2.
Yeah.
And from what you just said, expenditures from July 1 of 19 through June 30th of 25, or the paragraph before, you said that there were expenditures. However, at the very top of that letter, you said that no money has been taken out of these funds.
No money's been taken out of the account. Let me continue. That's, yes,
So,
that's it. So,
But then
so
you
those
say that it was.
expenditures, the expenditures have been made from the town's checkbook.
Okay, so.
No money has been taken from this account,
the account.
okay? And since none of this excess was paid from the trust account, these payments had to have been made from town's uncommitted reserves. Okay, that's where these payments are coming from.
And not the general assistance.
Not the general, no, it has nothing to do with general assistance. This fund is operated as a town fund, separate and apart from general assistance.
Right.
Okay. So we had $9,700 more spent than contributed during this period. It didn't come out of the bank account, came out of the town's uncommitted reserves. I can't tell you how much was income, and I can't tell you the exact income and expenditures because that was prior. The town's current accounting system, the TRIO system, didn't go into effect until July 1st of 2019. And so all I can say is what the net outflow was before that. From 2019 to 2025, which is available in the TRIO system, the town received donations of about $15,800. And these numbers all need to be verified, but they're approximate. And during that same time, aid was paid out by the town totaling $27,900. Okay. None of this excess was deducted from the trust account. It appears that these payments were made from the town's uncommitted reserves. There's no evidence of town meeting approval for any of these payments to be made from reserves. Now, much of this can be corrected, it looks to me, by transferring funds from that trust account to town reserves to take care of this deficit. How difficult that will be depends on whether or not these funds are really trust funds. I mentioned this to Phil, our lawyer, when I was there to talk to him about something else. And he indicated if they are really trust funds, it's not that simple. You have to go through the Attorney General's office. And so our position probably would be, and we need to talk to him more about correcting this, is that, yeah, it says it's trust funds, but it's really not trust funds. If it's trust funds, we've got legal fees and the Attorney General involved in this. Okay, now the transfer doesn't fix everything though, because in 22-23, the ledger balance of this fund went negative, even when you consider the amount that was in the bank. The balance of this fund on 6/30/22 was about $8,300. Donations were received for about $1,500, and aid was distributed totaling $12,000, which drove the balance in the red by over $2,000. And it has stayed there since then. As of the beginning of this month, the ledger balance was about a minus $850. Since that time, since the first of the month, 2 donors have presented the town with checks for $1,000 at the town office. And action on that is our next agenda item. But this is a background that's provided for your information. And now we have to put this on the table and see what, if anything, do we want to do about it? There it is on the table.
So we can't find paperwork from the origin of the money that was given to the town. Is there some way we can reach out to whoever gave this money to this fund and see if there is paperwork that those people have that may designate what the intention was?
My understanding is, and we'll open this up for public discussion shortly, but my understanding is the fund initially was initiated and funded by contributions from the Ladd Charitable Foundation. I don't know that for sure. That's just my understanding. And I would take that from the name of the account, which is the H&G Ladd Trust. So I'm assuming the Ladd Foundation put up the initial money for a fund to help Ladd residents that didn't otherwise qualify for general assistance.
Wayne residents, right?
Or Wayne residents.
We
yeah.
could ask them, correct?
But in addition, 2 other funds got bundled in at some point in time.
But we know the balance of those, and those other funds, right now on our plate is the Ladd Fund, okay? We've got this Ruth Fund and a Jaworski Fund. Right now, they're tied up in a trust account. Everyone I've talked to doesn't know what they are. I don't believe anybody in the town office knows what they are. And the only good that these funds are doing, we can't use them. They're sitting there, and Androscoggin Bank is drawing the difference between the 0.8% interest that it pays on these trust accounts and the money that it receives on average that it's lending out.
So that can't be used because we don't know the disbursement rules, is that what you're saying?
No, they can't be used because only the interest on them can be used as trust funds. And that's the
But we
way,
know that those are
that's the
trust
way we
funds.
sent them up, huh?
We know that those are trust funds.
No, we don't. We know they're in an account that says they're trust funds. We know, I'm guessing we probably know less about those than we do about the LAD fund, because I'm suggesting there are probably audience members, as soon as we get to public comment, that can fill us in on the LAD fund.
We've been asking about this
Yes.
for some time.
Thanks.
Do you want to take public comments before
Yeah, let's
we?
at least-
Yes,
Yeah, let's go.
Let's get more facts
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
Right.
that fund.
Yes, ma'am.
Ellen Ladd passed away.
Mhm.
Ellen Ladd was someone who wanted everyone to have plenty to eat and eat on.
Mhm.
She was like, she wanted a mother of everybody.
Mhm.
And it's only if she wanted to be inclusive.
Mhm.
So when she passed away, the Ladds wanted to make a fund that the town could use to help the people around them who needed help.
Mhm.
And the Ladds started giving money to that fund, but
Mhm.
I don't know that anyone ever said this was supposed to be a trust fund, but
Mhm.
the town recognized that it should be a trust fund. And when you went to the bank, they said it should be a trust fund. I don't know where the idea of this being a trust fund.
Mhm.
The Lads had given money to the town, so the town could give it away to needy people.
Is there a document that we can find that has a letter?
I can ask the lawyers, but I don't very much any document from 1983.
So can the Lad Charitable Foundation put together a document that in retrospect designates exactly what this fund is as a fund and not a trust fund?
Well, one of the things that I would suggest as we look at this, personally, I don't see it as a trust fund, because there's no trust instrument. Okay, the trust fund, a trust fund, Yeah.
Give it away.
a trust fund, means something. I mean, it has a
Right,
meaning.
there's a legal
And-
meaning
and-
to trust fund.
And this ain't it. So I don't think it's a trust fund.
So can we solve some of it by
but-
just taking the
but-
money out and putting it
But
into another?
one of
fund?
the things that we need to talk about is whether it's a trust fund or whether it's not a trust fund, there are procedures for the town to accept and decide the programs that it wants to become involved in. You know, there is no intention in any of this inquiry to disrespect the generosity or the good wishes of Helen and George Ladd, okay? That needs to be respected. The town as an entity in town meeting also needs to be respected. Okay? If the town is going to undertake a program similar to general assistance to distribute funds to residents, it would be good to have an ordinance and for the town meeting to say, yes, we, the town, choose to do that. As opposed to somebody with good intentions and a good heart saying, here, town, here's money, here's what I want you to do with it. Yes, ma'am.
So I guess just general observation over the last few years is that I think Wayne has operated as a village, a casual village, and when people had a need, other people would step forward and help with that. I think the struggle we're having here with a lot of these things is we're trying to be really bureaucratic. I'm not putting a judgment either way, but by trying to be bureaucratic and having everything so, it's kind of like going from writing things down to going
Yes.
to on the computer and doing all that.
Mhm.
And that's the struggle here. It isn't new to this meeting. It's these issues have been going on for quite a while. And that's just my observation. No, you know.
And thank you for your comment. Yes, Gloria.
Board of Selectmen write up something about how to manage this fund.
The select board passed a policy. And the select board in Wayne there are things we can do and there are things we can't do. Okay, setting up a charitable fund might be one of the things that we can't do. I can tell you, spending funds from uncommitted reserves without town meeting approval, that falls into the we can't do that category. And that's what we have done. And perhaps this is, and you're right, the select board will make a decision perhaps tonight. And one decision could be, this is not a problem. Let's just keep doing what we're doing. It's out. That's why it's on the agenda, for us to decide what, if anything, we want to do about this program.
So,
I would suggest that the informal village approach has us with a trust fund that we can't spend and you know,
Spending money.
writing checks out of reserves. So that's one observation on that.
I think one of the things that struck me pretty strongly about this is that this is some of the pain of trying to look at what our legal boundaries are that we hadn't looked at before. But I don't want to lose some of the warmth and village aspect of this town by covering it over with bureaucratic moves. If there's something that we can do to get this into within legal bounds without, you know, without getting too litigious, that would meet my needs.
so it appears that it got named as a trust fund when it was never intended to be a trust fund. That seems like an action that could be
Perhaps.
undone,
Right.
because it was never intended to be a trust fund. And perhaps some documentation from the Land Corporation would help solve that. I think there's a policy in play that talks about how to receive money and how to expend money.
Okay.
Isn't that what I read in the materials?
There's some lack of clarity for me,
So we.
but still, it's a.
The nuggets are there. We need a policy on.
Do we need an ordinance where the town approves this? A policy, does the select board have the authority to produce a policy? We're not a town council. For example, Winthrop has a town council. They're the legislative body. Our job as a select board is to execute the laws and directives that are provided to us by town meeting, by the town. And the question comes is we do want to be a friendly village. We do want to honor the wishes of these people. Do we want to have a small group of people impose a program on the town without asking the town if that's okay? Do we?
Well, if we go back to whether or not we have an ordinance, if we got stuff in statute, I don't think we need to have ordinance written that is going to
Okay.
Either conflict or restate. We got into that with the town manager ordinances that, you know, when we were covered by statute, that's gone through its entire review process. And I thought from the background material here, some of this was covered in statute. So
Well,
clearly I need to do some more research on how that plays in, but I think we're overcomplicating the desire to be able to receive money and spend it back out through a process to people who are needy that seems to be defined fairly, you know, like it's got the criteria in it. Like, I think it's getting overly complicated. Now, whether or not you go back and try and rectify all the past in books that have previously closed that have been audited, you know, we could take that as a separate, okay, so what money is in the fund? But I think writing an ordinance is gonna overly complicate something that I thought the policy was intended to address.
His question is, do we have the legal right to do this with policy, I think?
Well,
Yes,
versus
ma'am.
putting-
That's it.
No, let's ask MMA. Let's not pay for a lawyer. Let's go ask MMA.
Lloyd has a question.
Yes, Lloyd?
I think we should ask Gloria to put down on a sheet of paper what she's just told us, that it was never intended to be a trust fund. It was just an accident that it was named such a thing. And we should then convert this into an ordinary budget item. And if that requires a warrant for the town meeting, so be it. And then we attach that to the town's budget every year, and we're done with it. And we leave it to the maximum of what it's already done, because there are all kinds of programs that have narrow requirements, and they don't meet all of the needs we have. So we should not try to put too many boundaries on it other than what's obvious. And then we should just take that to the town meeting and go.
Now, one possibility that would be better than what we have, that right now I see no indication that the town, as a town meeting, knows about this or has approved it. One step in that direction would be to have a budget warrant article that addresses this fund, which we have never had.
I think that was
And-
what Lloyd was just
Yeah, that's what I'm
suggesting.
saying. Yeah,
Along
that's-
with the associated, like we set up the mechanisms to
But-
receive money into the lad
Okay.
funds and the
Now,
aging at home.
so we want to pose the questions to MMA.
Well, I think you had a question about whether we were legally able to do this, so
Yes,
let's ask MMA.
okay.
I suggest just don't ask MMA. Let's just do it. Let's
If
just
that's
do
what
it.
the,
And free up the 12,000 that's locked up in that bank account, because the interest that's being earned on that amount is a small sum. And that'd be subject to approval of the lads. And then we got it done.
I mean, to Lloyd's point, really, what is the difference with these funds, given what we've heard from people speaking on behalf of the lads and a little bit of the backstory, and Hazel mentioning it was erroneously called a trust. So there's that legality, that we heard about touching those funds earlier doesn't apply. It was just wrongly named. What's different?
Well,
from
the
stuff
policy
as
doesn't say
aging at
trust
home?
fund, it says fund.
Mhm.
Right, but I mean, what's different about an account that donations go to, like any other one? I think that's what Lloyd is saying, right? So why do we need to clarify with MMA? I might be missing.
Yeah. Let's
You
just do it.
appropriate it to a town approved account.
And-
Henry?
Can I speak?
yes,
It seems to me that the easy way out of this is to resolve it in the same way that you resolve the LAD savings account. You pass a warrant article that establishes this as a town reserve that can be accessed only for this specific purpose in accordance with this policy. And that the town makes some nominal appropriation each year to contribute to that fund, which then authorizes you to accept additional donations to that fund, creates it as a non-lapsing fund that will continue to roll over to be used for that purpose. I think you can do it from one simple article.
Yay. Then let's do
Do
it.
you see any issues with that?
if that's what we want to, do we want to send that to anybody to look at?
No.
Okay. So Lloyd, make a motion and we'll see if it gets a second and vote on it.
Right.
Let's hear it.
I move that we obtain from Gloria a letter indicating that the fund was misnamed, and And then we would liquidate that fund and pour it into an account. And what? And make it part of the regular budget.
So,
be
Lloyd, you want to say
authorized to
something
it.
about resolving it, but through a warrant to establish the reserve and
Right.
appropriation.
Right.
And you don't want to obtain any legal review to find out whether this is right or wrong. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Well,
That's a motion. Does anybody want to second it?
I'll second it.
Okay.
I'm
Discussion.
uncomfortable saying in the motion that we don't want to obtain legal review when we have MMA
yeah.
resources who could
Yeah.
validate our approach.
My discussion is there's statutes that say how we accept yes. We don't abide by those. We're a small town. We want to ignore them. If that's the judgment of the select board and the board members feel that's within their authority, then that could be a vote and a result. That's what I think. I think there are rules that we can make things work just fine within the rules. I think you can make it work just fine. Or we can say, we're a small town and these rules don't apply to us. Is that what we want to do?
My aspect in the discussion is that it never hurts to ask MMA.
I agree. And you know what I'm going to put on the table? I do the best I can to understand this. Everything I've told you might be wrong. And if it is, that's fine. I'll take that. But do you want to find out?
I think Lloyd's attempt to keep this simple and straightforward and not encumber it with all kinds of red tape is good. I also think though that it's okay to run it by MMA, and if they give it a blessing with what we're looking to do, we feel good. I agree with Hazel's comment. I really don't want to put in a motion that we're not going to check with MMA. We're just going to go right ahead and do this. So I think that kind of tipped it for me. And I said, there's no harm. If they come back and they say, well, you have to do this a little bit differently, I'm sure, I think to Henry's point, Marianne, you might have said it as well, we can make this work. We can make this work. Let's just have MMA bless it.
At this point, procedurally, I see you, Gloria. I'm just going to ask a question. Procedurally, do we vote on this motion and then go forward, or do we ask Lloyd?
I'll take out the don't ask anybody. I'll take out the don't ask anybody.
Okay.
I think
Well,
I'd like to make it more simple. I think we should, I would suggest, before we decide what to do with the motion on the table, I would suggest that we ask MMA if we can resolve this by a warrant at the town meeting.
Yes, and I would support that. And hey, I hate Robert's rules, but I do understand you can have a motion to modify a motion. So you can move to modify Lloyd's motion to say whatever you want. Do we want to send? I think Hazel is suggesting that we want to move to seek advice from MMA on how to do this. Is that fair or not?
To see if we can resolve this by a warrant on the
Mhm.
at the town meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, things that we need to decide, I think, that come after this. I mean, firstly, you have to decide how to do the program, but as far as this policy goes, for example, I'd like to hear from the town manager. We're imposing obligations for another kind of a supplemental general assistance. Does this policy provide enough guidance for you to do what you think you need to do? And do you need any additional resources to take on additional tasks?
So as it's written, I found some information to be a little conflicting, a little unclear. I would recommend that it be reviewed and revised. As it is written as of right now, as it was authorized by the select board to distribute funds without the proper authorization from the town. I don't feel comfortable because of accepting donations on that behalf, because I also don't have anywhere to deposit them into as of right now. If I put it into that trust fund, again, according to the state statute, legally, we should only be deducting interest from that, and I don't feel comfortable directing my treasurer to sit there and deduct from the general ledger. That's taxpayer money.
Sure.
I have a question.
All makes
So-
sense.
So
in- in
the
your-
simple,
in your-
I think the simple way is the person who made the motion and seconded it can withdraw their motion.
Okay,
Then,
Withdraw it.
then we don't have to, because I've lost track of what
Um,
his motion actually was, so I don't know how to amend his motion.
I'm happy with that. And I'm an old man. I couldn't tell you what the motion was.
Lloyd moved to obtain a letter indicating the fund was misnamed, liquidate that fund, and not seek a legal review on that action.
So,
Lloyd, would you like to rescind your motion?
Could you say again how you captured it?
I captured it that you motioned to obtain a letter indicating the fund was misnamed, liquidate that fund. And then I think you might have mentioned something about a warrant. I'd have to go back and watch the video,
Well,
but no, just no legal
Let's-
review.
Just put it into another account, but we don't have an account.
Correct,
We have to make an account.
correct.
Well, it was just going to the checking account of the town. It would go into your town general fund,
I think Gloria
And-
has a
and-
question too.
you know, and then the issue is, do you have a budget article to write checks against for that, for that purpose?
Right.
And then other things is, for example, what procedures do we have for saying when the fund is low? Does anybody contest the fact that in 2023, it was wrong for us to spend more than we had, even considering the Androscoggin bank account? Is there any
To be
question?
honest with you, I don't understand, because at one point you said it hadn't been touched. And another point you said that we'd overspent it, but the same money's in the bank as the trust. So,
All the checks we've written have come out of our bank account, out of our uncommitted reserves.
okay, because it says fund in here.
Yeah.
In the letter that you wrote several times, and I
Yeah.
totally lost
Okay.
track
Okay.
of what we were doing. So, yes, I would say that writing money out of the general fund, out of the unreserved,
Mhm.
the
Yeah,
wrong
is
accounts,
undesirable.
when they were supposed to come out of this fund,
So is it
caution everything
desired?
out.
So is it sensible that we check with MMA first? The simple
Yes.
question of unshackling the fake trust fund, and then decide what you do. Is that it?
So I
Gloria
don't know
has
if
a
he was
question.
rescind his previous motion. Hazel had suggested asking MMA if we could resolve this with a warrant at town meeting.
Sure.
we voted on it, we all voted down. I
Yeah,
don't care.
Yes, right.
We got a motion on the table that
Okay. I'm gonna make a motion that we rescind his motion. You can modify a motion, I know
Okay.
that, in Robert's
take
rules.
it.
I mean,
Rescind the motion.
if we have to, we can vote against it. I don't care how we get rid of it. But if we don't want to act on that motion that was stated by Lloyd and seconded,
Let's take a vote
Call
on
the
it.
vote.
Let's just take a vote on it,
Please call
vote
vote.
down and go.
yeah, so
Call
we're
the
gonna vote on, what are we voting on?
Right.
his motion.
His
Okay.
motion.
We're voting on Lloyd's motion. Henry says no.
Marion says no.
Hazel says no.
Tom says no.
Lloyd,
No.
Tom?
No, I already said no.
No, okay.
Okay. So
Okay,
that's
motion
clear.
fails.
Now we can move forward.
Hazel, what do you got to tell us?
Gloria has.
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to give me in writing what you think the name of this fund is. When I give you a check, I think it's gonna be made out to the Lad Special Fund. Because I think that's what I've written for over and over. It's $500 a year. It's not a huge amount of money, but it must have just built up and maybe other people gave them. I want to know what you call the fund, where you're putting the money. If I'm giving you a check, I think it's gonna
Yes,
say that.
yes.
But I'm not gonna do this again until September. It's just an annual thing. But I wanna know, and then I
Yes.
wanna know whether you're calling it a trust fund or not.
I
Right.
don't think we have the answer for you.
But I don't think we're gonna call it a trust fund.
But
Got it.
In this letter, when you tell me what the name of the fund is, just write down, this is not a trust fund.
But
Because I'm gonna talk to the lawyers about this before I write for another check.
So I move that we ask MMA if we can resolve this by warrant to the town meeting, and review of and revision of the policies.
okay,
Second,
board discussion? Tom and Lloyd, anything?
No, I mean, that's relatively general. Will we be, I
Okay,
guess I do have something that, will we be suggesting the revisions that we're asking for clarification on?
So we're right out of the gate, we're gonna see if we can even resolve this by warrant. If they say yes, then we can sort out the details
The new
on,
policy.
Yeah.
do we get letter from
Yeah.
the land corporation? What do we have to do with the bank? What do we have to
Okay.
do to untangle it, to
Mhm.
write a warrant?
Mhm.
For a simple process that actually Eric articulated, but
Mm.
it's like, let's get the direction first.
Yeah, okay.
yes,
It would seem reasonable that before you approach MMA with that general a question, that you actually propose what you intend to do with that one article. And if that's what I was suggesting, then I think you can define that in a simple paragraph without too much effort. And once you define that structure, let them comment on whether that would achieve the intended purpose. Legal.
Noted.
I agree.
It
so
seems
we,
we're trying to get
Go
back
ahead.
to what the original intent was for these funds. It seems like we lost the original intent because it got complicated with the name, which turned it into a financial mechanism. Assistance has been given, and no one's known what to do or how to even use these funds, right? It's just been sitting there on the side while we've taken away from funds that weren't intended to be providing assistance to people. So I think we're trying to go back to the original intent. And the question about what we should name it, that's come up with some lovely name for it, but we just can't call it a trust because that's how we got complicated to begin with. So just what are the rules?
Bureaucratize it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Gloria said that she writes it to the lad special fund.
I.
What the-
That I maintain. This is the land special fund, and I think that was a fund that, a name that evolves. If not, when we first gave, very shortly after.
It
Yeah,
seems
you know,
perfectly
So-
clear.
so when your office gets a check that says $500 paid to the order of Lad Special Fund, how do you endorse that?
Waiting for guidance.
Okay,
So,
I see.
I think
Until it's approved.
I only
Sure.
give in. Because from the land travel.
just a question?
so, I mean, this is why we reached out and asked, we've been trying to we've been trying to organize our accounting for the past couple of months. And so when we looked at this, it had the Ruth Lee, Jaworski, and the Lad Special Fund all combined, commingled as of 2017. And Androscoggin Bank doesn't have those individual accounts previous to 2017, because once you take it out and close those accounts and put them together, they no longer have any of that documentation. So now, as it was put together in 2017, there was nothing outlining that. We've been trying to get that so we can understand how we can use that. According to state statute, you should only be using the interest of that. And so I could understand going to a town meeting and saying, this is how much we have in interest accrued in the past year. How would we like to go and distribute that? And then you would establish a special fund to then distribute it, just like general assistance goes into its own account. And then we can put that under there. When you look at this policy, it says to go through the accounts payable process. So in the previous years, it's been going off of the general ledger. And so it's not really keeping a proper account of how those funds should legally be done. And so we're just trying to make sure that that's clarified.
And
So if this wasn't called a trust account any longer, and it was its own line item in the ledger, then you could take money out of the town,
Yes,
because you'd have a place,
it's not though.
but it's not right now.
I don't know if it ever was. It might have been. I don't know.
and we have administered it as if the money was in the town account, but it wasn't in the account, right? We've gotten contributions since then that haven't been put in this bank account. And the town has written many checks since then that have been coded on the ledger to I don't know what. Yes, ma'am.
I think it would have been coded to like a due to, due from account, and then at the end of each accounting period, it would be transferred from one account to the other. So you only have checks in one bank account.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, and so if you write a check and the check's meant to come out of
Yeah.
another account, you could then put it as a due to, due from, and then you would transfer the money over.
So you're saying that's if you had a separate bank account that this went into? Yes, yes.
So this
Yeah.
isn't a separate
But
bank
this is-
account.
The trust fund is in a bank account.
But it's called a
But-
trust account.
Yes, but also the $15,000 worth of donations that we received between 2019 and 2025, that didn't go into this trust account. That went into your checking account. And it went into the bank. The town took the money and deposited it into general town revenues.
And so there's no way to tell the
And
balance of
which
this.
if that's how we want to do that, and that's what we decide, that's fine. I'm not too sure about that. But
But you're not, you could have spent that on anything.
yes, ma'am, we could. But what actually happened is money that we should have had to spend on other things, we spent on this.
Well, let me.
And wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice to have this set up? So when somebody comes in and says, here's $2,000 that I want to go into this program to help town residents, that you know that's where it's gonna go.
Can't have a fund like that.
But
The alternative, if the town doesn't have a fund like that, one's gonna have to go somewhere else to help those people.
Well, my other question is, if we've been paying money to try to support the money that's been coming in for the LAD special account, has this policy been followed at all? Has anybody been getting these applications? Has anybody been
Have they been
reviewing the
filed the way they're supposed to
applications?
be filed?
Are they being filed? I mean, and I know you.
I think those are a whole lot of questions, and I have a motion on the table, and I
Yes.
think my motion will allow us a pragmatic way to move forward.
Right.
Perhaps. and
That's a good.
we want to,
I move the question.
So
I move the
some of
question.
Questions we need to resolve, including how do we reconcile the monies that have been spent?
Yeah.
And
Lloyd is calling for a vote. I think we should give it to him.
So Hazel made a vote,
Motion,
Hazel made a
and it's been
motion.
seconded?
We voted on his motion.
Yeah, no, but Lloyd has called them. He's
He's calling
calling
for
for
the
a vote on this one. And
and wait,
just-
yeah.
Thank you,
Yes.
Lloyd.
Yes,
Okay.
Somebody seconded it.
Did we have a second?
Yes,
Okay,
he's already voted. He said yes.
Lloyd says yes. Tom,
Yes.
Hazel,
Yes.
Marianne says yes.
if our thing is to ask legal advice, which it
Yes.
is, Henry says yes. Now, while we're getting that advice, what do we want to do with this program?
Right.
Put it on hold. We have the general ledger account is minus $850 right now, according to our treasurer. Okay. I don't like saying, let's just go on ahead, because I don't see the authority to spend money that we don't have. I'm hesitant to take donations Because when somebody comes in and says, here's $1,000 to help town residents, if I'm going to only have $150 to help town residents because we've got a minus $850 balance in that account, I don't want to take that check from that person because I want to honor their wishes.
Well, you're gonna have to send them.
So could we-
to ask the church to
Henry.
help them.
Mhm.
Something like
Yeah.
that.
Henry,
Yes, ma'am.
If you can't
Cutting into the Wild
resolve
West.
That's fine.
do it, we'll find someone else to do it.
Which is a possibility, but so what do we want to do with the account while we're waiting for an answer?
I would suggest we ask MMA if we need to suspend it until we get formal action through the warrant, if they agree to that. They
Okay,
don't tell us that.
Good idea. Good idea. Yep.
okay.
And then if we can get an answer back by the next meeting, are you holding checks?
I mean,
No, we have 2 checks to accept, and I'm going to table that until the next meeting.
That's okay.
It's in 2 weeks,
March 3rd.
but that's the next item on the agenda. We haven't gotten there yet. So we're going to get advice from MMA on the LAD special fund. And we'll take it up after we have that advice. Have I understood this correctly?
Mhm,
Okay. Are we ready to move on in our agenda?
mhm.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is to consider accepting donations in the total amount of $2,000 for the LAD Special Fund, DBA Neighbors Helping Neighbors. I suggest we table this until we have further advice. So I'm going to make a motion to table.
Second.
Awesome.
Okay, discussion? Henry says yes.
I say yes.
Hazel says yes.
Motion carries 5-0. The next item on our agenda is to discuss amendment.
Tom, did you vote?
I voted yes.
Okay.
Didn't hear.
The next item on our agenda is to discuss amendment to the zoning ordinance.
Notes, but I don't have the zoning ordinance with me.
I sent it out I sent everybody an email.
I had it and I read it, but I did not make a copy of it.
Okay. And we didn't make that as part of our package, did we? Okay. I hate to table that because the result of the motion has to be to ask the planning board to amend the zoning ordinance. The amendment relates to the section on code enforcement officer. Our current zoning ordinance says that the code enforcement officer is responsible to the select board in an employee-employer relationship. The town manager plan basically says the town manager is responsible to appoint and supervise and control the code enforcement officer unless it's otherwise provided in ordinance on that particular line item of the duties of the town manager. And so I was suggesting a modification to the zoning ordinance to take the code enforcement officer's appointment and supervision from under the select board and put it under the town manager. Also, the zoning ordinance says in the event the code enforcement officer can't do his job because of a conflict, it falls to the select board. I was going to amend that to say it falls to the planning board because that is what makes sense.
I agreed with the changes you put in there.
Okay.
I had 2 questions.
Yes,
Is this a
ma'am.
good time for them?
Yes, it is.
One is very small. Line 27 has a typo. it says shall, but it left out the F, very small.
Yes,
Uh,
Paul
oh,
notified.
yes, it's hell notified.
Hell notified, hell, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
The other is on line 55 and also 85 and 86. And everything that you put in there made sense to me, Henry. I was fine with it. It seems to follow what we need to do. Line 85 and 86 has, oh, I wrote it out differently, but it says that the CEO must not be must not have any building construction trade business
Within the town, within the town,
and
yeah.
it does say trades, and so I was wondering if we need to also say paving or plumbing, or is that just covered under building construction?
Well, I
trade?
think the building construction trade would include, what I take that as to say, plumbing and electrical would be building
Would be-
construction trades.
Okay,
And that's
that's fine with me.
yeah, I can't tell you that there are not other things in these provisions that I would change. There are. I tried to make it as simple and change as few words as possible. And just take the whole purpose was to take the code enforcement officer out from under the select board and put that person under the town manager.
Yes,
And the second change was to provide that the fallback, if the code enforcement officer has a conflict, is not, the permit's not issued by the select board, it would be issued by the planning board. Those are the only changes that I made. Or suggested. Yes,
Can I ask a question? So what you're suggesting is that the permit application would go to the planning board should the code enforcement officer be unable to make that choice for whatever reason?
yes, and this basically just talked about permitting, and I wanted, like I said, change as little as possible. What I would change it to is if the code enforcement officer has a conflict of interest such that he can't perform any task, has to recuse himself from any task under this ordinance, that task would fall to the planning board. Yes, ma'am.
In other towns, are CEOs under the supervision of the town manager with an annual evaluation like other employees?
So I'm in Winthrop and it is, but that's also under the town manager plan. I think this was previously under the select board because the select board hadn't adopted the town manager plan until 2024.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's just something that hasn't been changed. And in other towns, yes, the code enforcement officer is usually an employee or appointed under the town manager.
Yeah. So the annual evaluation of that employee, since it involves the planning board, would have some criteria about, that person's
Well, the
public service.
the planning board under this change, well, first off, it just says, this doesn't talk about who does employee evaluations or anything. It just simply says the code enforcement officer is directly responsible to the town manager and shall follow the requirements of this chapter in matters of law and procedure. And it says it shall be the duty of the code officer. Okay, somewhere else here. The code officer shall be appointed or reappointed annually by the town manager. That's all it says. In our particular circumstance, the way we have operated for the past year, the code enforcement officer is an employee of the town of Reedfield. And we contract with the town of Reedfield for code enforcement officer services. But still, the law requires that position to be appointed annually. And so I hope we have been appointing them annually. And this would revise it to have the town manager be the appointing authority. And it's the default under the town manager plan, under the statute. The town manager plan says that the town manager will do that unless an ordinance provides otherwise.
So I remember we had this discussion when we were working through the town manager process.
Yeah, I think it takes out another conflict and falls in line with the intent of us going with the state statute. It takes out another exception, which is what we intended.
So
So
would the select board you ready for a motion?
Yeah.
I have one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
I would just at some point, like some clarification for how, you know, for any employee that the town has, how that person's performance is evaluated, or do you have an ability with the Reedfield town manager to gain, you know, input from our planning board and decide is this person, you know, performing the way you want them to? Just as a town resident, I'd like
Yeah.
to know that there's some person that's in charge of evaluating this person since they're a half-time employee.
Yeah.
What's it under the town
We have-
manager?
We have,
Just
yeah,
better-
it puts
better
it under the town manager and we have a contract with the town of Reedfield, and I don't remember, I don't have it memorized, Teresa, but I think it provides for input by the managers from each of the respective towns that are receiving code enforcement officer services from him. But I do believe he's an employee of the town of Reedfield, and all employment matters, evaluation, such things as that are functions of Reedfield, although I think the contract provides for input from the Wayne Town manager. He's a Reedfield employee right now.
So,
He's not even a half-time Wayne employee or half-time Reedfield employee. He's a Reedfield employee. He's a person who has been appointed by Wayne to fill the code enforcement officer role that's as required by the statute.
but we pay him directly, do we not?
No, ma'am, we pay
We
Reedfield.
do, okay,
Yes. It's just like with the transfer station.
right, okay, that's what I was wondering, but I-
Question is, if Shannon liked this person, Reedfield didn't, or vice versa, what avenues does Shannon have to weigh in? Just, it doesn't have to be addressed. to-
If either town, if either town decides to, what the contract provides, as I recall, and I'm gonna put a big caveat on this, that I don't have it remembered, but what I recall, Teresa, is what the contract provides is that if either town fails to appoint the Reedfield employee as the code enforcement officer, then the contract is dissolved. So if we're talking about a person, if Wayne appointed someone else as their code enforcement officer, that would dissolve the contract. If Reedfield appointed someone else as code enforcement officer, that would dissolve the contract.
So we're not mandated to keep the contract, I'm sorry. We're not mandated to go with the Reedfield.
You can say, we don't want to play, we don't want to
Yeah.
appoint this person as a code enforcement officer, and Reedfield can't say, oh no, you've signed a contract, you must do it. The provision is that ends the relationship. As I recall. Now, I'd want to get it out and read it to be sure, but that's my recollection of it.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
I think we could make a motion that we
It-
adopt the changes you're recommending to have the code enforcement officer under the town manager, not the select board, and to adopt the changes in the case of a conflict of interest, that it's done by the planning board, not the select board.
And what we have to do is send that in a letter to the planning board, because it's their, remember, we've been advised by Jim Katsiafikis that it is the planning board ultimately that decides this, and we would want to send them a letter, I suggest, and ask them if they could expedite the process to have it done and the public hearings finished in time for us to send it to town meeting in June. And I didn't want to table it, even though we didn't have a copy in our package, because their next meeting is a week from this Thursday. And I'd like to put it before them at that meeting.
So I made a motion, I need a second, and then you
Second.
can
Yes, okay,
discuss and move it.
okay.
Yeah.
We have a second.
I did.
Any other discussion?
Are you going to send a letter to the? planning
Yes,
board?
I am. That's the way to accomplish the motion of amending the ordinance.
I got one quick question. I understood from your proposal here and this new ordinance change that the planning board would take over the responsibility for an application should the code enforcement officer be unable to for whatever reason.
Yes, sir.
My question is, no one on the planning board, of course, is gonna be inspecting electrical and plumbing, so they'd have to sub that out or get authorization to do that from town manager in that effect.
Well, if the code enforcement officer is building a house, or the code enforcement officer's son is building a house in Wayne,
That's a conflict, but I'm
we're
just.
gonna
saying
have to,
unable
no, but you're saying, who do we get to do the electrical inspection? I'd say we have to work that out when it comes up.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. That's what I think the answer is.
It's no different than the responsibility being with the select board.
Yeah,
Same as you guys would have.
Yeah.
to.
Same, yeah,
Yes.
I figured you could do that here.
we'd have to solve that problem.
yeah. We'll have to figure that out if it comes up.
Gotcha.
Okay, let's vote on Hazel's motion. Henry says yes.
Mary Ann says yes.
Hazel says yes.
Tom says yes.
Lloyd says yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank God, we're ready to review the town budget. You're up, Shannon.
All right, so each of the select board members, I'm sorry, Lloyd and Tom, I have the budget binders here for you to pick up when you're available. But I did send out some documents previously, so we're just gonna go through the general administration, the elections, general assistance, aging at home program, assessing, code enforcement, and contingency. And so in your budget books, you'll have an updated schedule with the all of the different thirds marked out for each of the upcoming meetings. You've got the custom budget located in there. And then on the final page, there's also an overview of our capital reserves currently. So we can go over that when we get to the capital transfers, but that's in there for your viewing, and if you have any questions in the upcoming meetings, please let me know. So looking at general administration, we have overall looking for salaries. We're looking at a 4.99% increase. You'll notice under those, the tax collector and treasurer, I'd like to have those two lines combined. So that would be an overall 19% increase. However, I feel that is
Can you
fine.
tell me the numbers, just so I can see,
For-
if I'm looking at something else? Yeah,
So you
yes.
should have one in that budget book that I gave you.
Okay.
4.99 is overall
For the salaries.
for salaries.
Yeah, so
See?
that's including the select board, town manager, the bookkeeper, treasurer and tax collector is combined. The town
So
clerk,
Shannon, is the treasurer, tax collector salary $46,592?
yes.
Okay, that's all.
And then we don't have the meeting clerk. We eliminated that last year. This includes, so Medicare and FICA, the rates remained the same this year at 7.65% for both, and that's including the select board, town manager, bookkeeper, tax collector, treasurer, and the town clerk. For the health insurance, we had a 9% increase for 2026, and so we budgeted 6 months in 2026, and an additional 10% increase for 2027 for 6 months.
Shannon, is your health insurance number 56,639?
57,739.
57,739, okay.
I imagine Henry's going down the list right now, updating the categories. And then under income protection plan, I opted out of that, so I just use that as a placeholder for paid family medical leave. Projecting 2,689 based off of what we calculated out for this past year. And so that's in there.
Stuff on that one, can you explain that?
So for the paid family medical leave, that is just, my bookkeeper is better at this. But we've been reviewing the paid family medical leave program, and we break it down into quarters through the state, and the state requires we send in quarterly reports of all of our employees that make, that have worked for, I think it's 12 consecutive weeks or 20, I'd have to confirm that. But for a certain period of time, and if they've worked within that certain period of time, then the state automatically deducts paid family medical leave, a certain 0.5% increase. If it's over 15 employees, then the town can opt to pay the full. So it's either 5% from the town and 5% from the employees if they are eligible, or if they make that cut for that time frame, or it's 1% entirely by the town. So it varies from quarter to quarter based off of the employees that we have, primarily through the Lab Rec Center with the counselors that we see for the summertime.
So do they do the counselors qualify?
Some of
There's a lot
them,
of them.
yes, I think it's more so it makes the other people qualify that have worked consecutively for 12 or 20 weeks. I'd have to confirm those numbers again. But it raises the total number of employees that we're paying per quarter. It's either over 15 or under. Any questions under salaries? All right, so moving down to
Yeah, go back again. You talked about combining the tax collector and the treasurer.
Yes,
And you said that resulted in a 19% increase, which I didn't understand because I'm looking at 21%, but combining the positions doesn't increase, cause the increase, is you're recommending an increase
yes,
for that position.
yes, I am.
And can you explain why? I heard 19, I'm reading 21.
Well, when you add the two positions, the 42 and the 4, it's 46 over the 39 from previously. So it's like 7,388 or something, I think was the difference. Divided by the 39 gives you a 19% increase overall for those two lines.
So this 21% is a bit misleading.
Correct. And only for
It's
that.
mathematically,
Yeah.
It probably was a 21% of just the tax collector wages, I'll bet. So when you add,
Right, exactly.
when you add the treasurer stipend in there, the number comes down, the percentage comes down.
so the rationale on giving almost a 20% increase for a position?
Performance. Responsibilities.
20%,
She does a good job and,
not debating that.
okay, but for example, there is $7,000 worth of interest that's going to be earned on the fire truck reserve this year that we haven't been earning in the past. There is a projection of $22,500 worth of interest that's going to be earned on the town's bank accounts based on some banking relationship programs that Lynn has initiated. So there's $29,000 of interest that I believe our treasurer has made for us. Plus, we have much better, although we can still improve it a little bit, but we've gone a quantum leap over our prior financial oversight and accountability based on the current treasurer's performance versus what we had in the past. So
And I would also guess you're looking at prevailing wages of that position,
Yes.
comparable to towns. Like ours.
So I think that makes a better story. Because, people are gonna look at 20% and say, oh, I didn't get 20% raise, why did she get a 20% raise? Even though, yeah, you can.
I'm saying you get what you pay for, would be my answer to that argument.
Yeah.
And if you want to go back to the way things are and give up the interest or the way things were, let's go for it.
I would suggest as you're developing the narrative on the outliers on the numbers that have got, significantly different. You include, both components, that it's performance, that it's
Prevailing
wages,
Yes.
whatever else you need in that story.
Okay, so moving down to operating expenses, keeping office expenses at 5,000. I think we've done fine just keeping them there. The travel expenses, I just upped it a little bit because the code enforcement officer has always his travel, which is sent quarterly. That includes 1336, comes out of there. I think this was originally intended for the road commissioner going around and posting and responding things and also going up to the bank, but now we have a courier service, so I think that can stay for that.
Those based on like the federal rates?
It's 70 cents on the mile for,
7-0?
70 cents. Yeah,
Yeah.
70 cents per mile.
I believe that's the IRS rate. I think so. That's what it's based on, right? That's what our personnel policy says.
Yes, it is. Based off of the IRS rate,
Yeah.
which is 70 cents a mile.
By the way, I noticed that there are some people who did not get a raise.
We can talk about that in executive session.
It's just us. Totally kidding.
The training expense, we are coming up a little high on our expenses. We're at about 75% so far this year. But we've also had all of our Board of
Right.
Appeals members sign up for training this year. We've had a lot of select board members participating, myself included. We've had a turnover in staff, so lots of new training this year. But- So I think that that's staying fine at 1,500. The MMA dues, I think we just paid that out in our accounts payable this week, so keeping that, just bumping it up to 3,500 for updates. Computer repairs, this past year, we updated 3 monitors and 2 computers, but we still have some other computer upgrades we could make, so just increasing that up to 1,000.
That's not much.
Right,
Mm.
it's not. Computer software, so this is for Trio. We under budgeted for that last year. And so I actually reached out to Harris and asked if we could get an updated one. Last year, we got the invoice in May. May 26th was not very helpful, so I'm trying to get an earlier invoice for that. So we'll confirm the Trio for that. And if you turn the page, moving over to the website, again, just need to confirm that. I don't have anything as far as expenditures for the website this year. I know that was launched last year and this might just be for maintenance, but they haven't sent us an invoice for anything. The town report, just increased that just slightly to incorporate the comprehensive plan, any kind of printing that needs to be done in the upcoming year. It might not be this year, but at least to have that in there just in case it's for this year, or if they need to have any additional copies made. We did already print off 15 additional copies of the 2016 comprehensive plan for their meeting tomorrow. And that came out to $300 just for those 15 copies.
Is that included in the 2025 actual? Probably not, right?
Where?
You
The
said
year
that,
to date?
you said that you spent $300 in printing. I was wondering if that's included under the $885.
That's under the year to date for 2026.
Oh, I'm looking at 25, of course.
Yep.
Sorry
And so
about that.
885 was actually for our town report
That was
last year.
last year.
Yeah, and we could probably cut back on those a bit and then just order as needed. We had a lot of extra copies in the office. Tax administration, we may need to increase this, but right now, we bumped it up to 4,000 this year, because already we've spent 4,120, as I noted in the accounts payables today. We spent another 120 or $250 for the lien discharges. It's $25 per page to file anything with the Registry of Deeds. So just for 10 pages on lien discharges, that's how much that costs, plus $93 for foreclosure notices that went out. So that's in addition to the year-to-date already expensed. Contractual. If you have any suggestion, I kept that as is for 60,000. Audit services confirmed at 12,600 for this year.
12,600.
12,600. Yeah. I just checked our invoice.
So there wasn't an increase from 25 to 26, and then they did
Correct.
a bigger increase.
So they have new management at the auditing firm and they're doing a new process. So a more updated process, they said. And so we've already paid the 2520, and then the remainder, I think we had paid another 6,000 for 2025 starting in this past year, or just at the end of last year. But we'll have another due, and then it would probably include another amount just at the end of this fiscal year. So overall, that's what I had on an invoice.
Can I go back to legal services, please?
Yes.
I was concerned last year that 60,000 wouldn't cover what we needed for this year, but I see we're not up to 50% yet. For what you know of what we're involved in the next 6 months, will we be in good shape against the 60,000?
I think that will be in good shape for the next 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, for insurance, I may need to confirm this. What I had noted earlier was, the workers' comp and the unemployment. The insurance is primarily our casualty pool, which is where you see the 20,710. And so that's the property and, casualty liability casualty pool. But then there's additional costs, I think, that go into that, so
So,
just kept it at 30,000.
do I recall correctly that if we haven't had any claims, that number can go down?
Yes, and so, when I just spoke with one of our, adjuster, I think it's an adjuster. I think that we had decreased a little bit, but it's also, based off of the audit from last year. And so last year, I think that the salaries were less than what they are this year, so they gave us an option to continue with what we had, or we could go and get a
Shit.
full audit right now, but I'm gonna just mute you, Lloyd.
Lloyd.
Yeah. Man, what was I talking about? Yeah, so they said that it's coming down a little bit, but we can kind of project for the following year that it may go up some based off of the sales.
So it looks like
Okay,
we're over
makes sense.
budgeting though.
For the insurance,
Yeah,
like I said, I put a little note there. I just need to confirm that. I'm gonna go back in and see where the workers' compensation and the unemployment fund and the property casualty pool, I have that in there, and then see if there was anything else bundled into it, but I mean, yeah, we were over budgeting by about 4,000 in 2025, and then over budgeting, I guess, 10,000 so far, but we also have another 6 months. We just may not have paid everything out yet. Yeah, I'll take a look at that and give you an update at the next meeting.
I mean, I know it shows us a 0% change, but really if we're over budgeting, then maybe that's something that could be reduced.
Okay. And then the copier lease just seems to climb, I mean, at least in the last 2 years, about $200, so I just kept it at 4,000, again, keeping that flat. And then down looking at telephone, we've had it at 3,300 based off of 32 in 2025. 2,000 might, I mean, 3,300 might be a little low if we're halfway through the fiscal year currently. That may need to get bumped up. But when we're looking at the overall picture of the budget category for general administration, some things might be a little higher, some things might be a little lower. So even though we've been keeping those flat, they might be supplementing those other ones that might fall short. And internet cable, I think last year that was just put into the wrong line, but we haven't had anything for that. I think all the internet and cable goes under telephone as well. It's Fidium Fiber, it's Charter Communications, all of those fall under that. And then moving on, debt service, we don't have any debt. And then contingency, I think we have a separate account for contingency.
Yeah, we do.
So I think that was just an addition to that. We can just keep that in the appropriate account, not that line.
Say that again.
So I think we have contingency is under a different line item. I just added 3,000 because I was updating this today. But I'll check on the actual number for that. But for contingency, I didn't know if you wanted to increase that or decrease that. It's been 3,000 flat for the last few years
I'm just seeing zeros across the board.
because it's in a different.
It's in a,
account.
it's a couple, it's a
I think
couple
it's
of things down. Look, it's on this, it's on the plate for today, but it's down a little bit.
and how,
On a different page.
how have we done against it, just so I don't
Yeah.
have to flip through and find out?
We haven't really used it.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's, sometimes it's called I've seen it called select board contingency, I've seen it called contingency. This year, we need to take a little bit out of it, in my opinion, and put it on the election line, because we only budgeted for one election, and we're gonna have more than one, and it could easily be covered under contingency.
Yeah.
Shannon, do we need something somewhere for like furnitures, fixtures, and equipment? Like, what if you break your chair or your desk? Or we have discussed buying chairs for this facility. that's just for what it's worth. I don't know where that goes.
Under building.
Should we have a furnitures, fixtures and equipment thing? If you need a new office chair, where does it go?
Right now, I think we get an office expense.
Okay, but that really office expense is probably, you're talking about paper clips and notepads and pens.
I think
Yeah.
if we're looking at bulk purchases, like we've had presented to us
Yeah.
for a discussion, then we may need to put that into a capital reserve account, maybe. And
But if
just
we're,
withdraw from it when you need to make that large purchase. If it's a bulk purchase.
well, that might work, or if you know you're gonna buy them this year, you just
Yeah.
put a budget item in there for it.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know where,
That's it.
where would you
All right.
suggest?
I think under office expenses,
Okay.
Yeah, but a line under office expenses, furniture, fixtures and equipment, under office expense, and then I put the chairs for this place, if we decide to buy them, right under that.
So once we.
You would
get
put it under
maybe
the
that-
Lad Center.
Well, you guess you could put it under buildings, I mean, that would be okay.
Yeah.
It's not
I'll put
what do you
it-
mean by under Lad Center?
Somewhere that would indicate that it's a Lad Center purchase, because it's not really,
but
If
An
we
office
bought-
purchase, that's
if we-
fine, but
if we bought
But it's
chairs,
not-
this
but
wouldn't
it-
be an office.
it's not a Lad Center program, so let me put it this way. Our
So-
share of the chairs would not be a Lad Center programs purchase. And that's where we kind of think about. That's a and maybe I'm being too tough for our informal environment, but. The problem with thinking about the Lad Center is we could, if under our buildings, we decided to paint these walls, it's a town building. Maybe that should be a town expense versus the Lad Center programs.
Yeah, agreed,
And so
agreed.
the chairs
So,
are, they're like a capital expense, only they're small enough where you normally would expense them. If you were in a business, you would not depreciate, chairs.
yes,
I think that this approach would be in keeping with everything else we're proposing to do in the budget this year for the
Yeah.
Lad Center. So all the utilities,
Yes,
all those expenses are gonna be lumped in with other town buildings. They're not
Yes.
gonna be segregated for the Lad Center.
that is correct.
okay.
So maybe when we get an estimate on chairs, we could add that in there for that. That's fine. Any other questions on general administration? Debt service? Okay. So 102 is elections and hearing. This is based off of two elections, and that's at a rate of $15.10. That's minimum wage currently for 5 different four election clerks and a warden per with the warden working 14 hours and 4 employees working at 18 or ranging from 7.75 hours to 8.25 hours. 8.25 hours for the November election and 7.75 hours for the June election. That ranges anywhere from 1:45 to 9:30 or 7:45 in the morning to 2 p.m. and then coming back at the end for counting. So we've got that in there at $13.80, and then office expenses for that include any kind of hardware. We just installed the ballot box outside of the town office. Any other additional locks, we have to purchase locks, and then also we've always provided food for our election workers. So that's included in the 500.
Did you say that you didn't think that our, the 1380 was enough, or are you saying?
No, ma'am, I was saying that this year, we only budgeted
Oh,
for one election.
This
Yeah.
year, got it,
Yeah, for the year that we're going through,
okay,
we only budgeted for one election and we're gonna have 2.
okay,
So,
I missed that, sorry.
yes.
Any questions on elections?
No.
All right, so moving on to general assistance, it's section 103. That's at just a 2.8% increase for the aging at home coordinator and with Medicare and FICA. I recommend pulling the aging at home coordinator and FICA out into its own separate category for a warrant article, and then proposing that overall amount of 14,156 plus an appropriation for our programs. The appropriation can be whatever dollar amount the select board chooses. I would recommend maybe $50 or $100. something minimal, but that the select board can appropriate donations to.
And where's that
I
gonna
see.
go, Shannon?
It's gonna
So-
go in aging and home program.
Yeah, so its own category, and so I'll get a warrant article to establish that. And then add the aging at home coordinator, Medicare FICA, and then a program allocation right underneath that.
So that's the operating expense,
Yes,
is really program allocation, is that what you're calling
yes,
it? So you're currently zero?
Mhm.
yes. And then general assistance, I just kept that the same. Any questions?
The general assistance went from 5,000 to 1880.
Nope, I have it down for 5,000.
Oh, 5,000? Okay,
I kept it flat.
all right. I don't know where I came up with 1880. I might have dreamt it.
And we have spent none out of that.
Correct.
Now, the 5,000 number, I mean, that's what you, if that's what you think it's gonna take, but that 5,000 number came into being by goof up on the well,
PFAS.
the PFAS well.
Correct.
Oh,
And so the only reason it was 5,000 one year and then we carried that over was because we had like 3,000 and some change
Mhm.
in that category that didn't belong there, correct?
Yes, I had an excellent question from a resident at the town meeting asking what if that had gone up. And so then I went back and investigated. It was actually our PFAS remediation.
So,
And it's-
so do you need, so my question is, do you need 5,000? Because it's, the only time we had 5,000 was because we had this PFAS business that we put in there by mistake.
is that represented in the 4,900 that I see here under 2025 actual?
Yes,
Okay,
Yeah,
that's why we were so overspent.
yeah, we overspent because we had, money that and the state reimbursed us for like 90% of that, I believe.
this year they did.
This year, and it went back into our account. It was, somebody's well
I
was messed
remember
up
that.
and
Yep.
we had to pay for a filter system. And
Where else
they-
would that have come out of?
Well, it wasn't general assistance, that's for sure.
Yeah, we know that.
That would have been a contingency.
Yeah, it could have been, or,
And then if it was reimbursed, then we could just,
Yeah.
then we would just put it back in there.
so my question is, do you need 5,000? I mean, if you
don't
think you
think so.
do, if you think you do, that's fine, but
Kept it at that, just given the current economic situation in the case that somebody does come, I just kept it in there.
I'm shocked.
also,
frankly, that there's
also, you know,
nothing
we
this
can
year.
overspend general assistance. Now, we have to go back and cover it. The town has to approve it after the fact, but that's one of the two things that's one of the two areas where we're allowed to overspend.
Oh,
But that 5's fine if that's what you think.
So if we've talked about establishing this neighbors.
Well, that's separate.
Neighbors fund, and do we need a placeholder to make a small contribution in order to do? to
Yeah, we should
accept
have
donation?
an article on that in the next year. How I think this works, let's take aging at home, for example. At the end of the year, when you go to the next town meeting, I think you'd want to have a warrant article that says, does the town vote to carry forward the balance in aging at home? And once that happens, then you've got money in there, whatever was left over from the prior year that can be supplemented. So, what the rule says is we can accept about the only thing we can accept on our own is cash donations to supplement an existing appropriation.
So do we have to put a placeholder in anticipation of a potential
Of such a thing.
approval?
I think if MMA says you can do it with a warrant article, all that's gonna be part of that warrant article.
Okay.
So yes, it'll modify this. That'll be part of the deal, part of the warrant article.
We
So
don't
would
have to
that-
account for it now, though.
No,
No, but it'll go in our budget.
so would that just go under general assistance? This
No.
other,
it's separate.
Well-
Local assistance would be a state program, and that's why,
I see.
I mean, because that can generate I hate to say revenue, but I mean, the state will reimburse up to a certain percentage for general assistance, and so that's its own budget category.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions under section 103?
Nope.
Okay, so, section 105 is under assessing. This is the GIS.
104, how about?
24.
Oh, that's under fire department and public safety. That's under a different category, different desk.
Oh,
We will
okay.
go over
Thank you.
that at the March 3rd meeting. So looking under 105 for assessing, that is just a slow increase from our assessors. So the GIS map updates and GIS mapping hosting, that's a separate contractor. That's what you just looked at the other day. That was one of the portions of that. And so that would be included, I think, if that was in the GIS map updates line. And then I'm still trying to get a lay of the land for the GIS map updates, or not KV, the general code, but I think that falls under CEO. So I've just kind of kept those basically the same. But we've only spent 2,400 so far on GIS map updates. And I'm trying to understand where we got the 8,000
Mm,
still. So. And then same thing with map hosting. That's the same company. It's just hosting the GIS web on our account.
so that we just pay that once a year.
Yep, and then that's on our website.
So it looks like that's over budgeted.
It comes in exactly at 3,000 for each year.
And they
so
will
far.
not be increasing that cost.
No, they said that they will not. The
But-
only thing is for the GIS map updates, that includes what you just signed at the last meeting. I think that was for 1,300. And then I'm trying to get a understanding of what the
Yeah.
additional costs.
That may be a little fat, is what you're telling us on the 8,000.
Well, that was for last year.
Yeah.
This year I proposed 4,000.
Right.
Oh, so GIS mapping updating, is it 4,000 this
Yes.
year?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I had a 50% decrease.
I think, Shannon, my recollection of this, and Amy may recall,
Yeah.
we had a backlog, we skipped several years where we
Oh.
didn't do map
Mhm.
updates.
Okay.
So we had a big lump sum that we had.
We need to catch up. Okay, so I'm trying to, get that, and so I think last year I just carried forward the 8,000. But then this year I proposed the 4,000 for that. I'll look at that and see if there's any other changes that I can make.
So based on what you both said, do we anticipate that we are going to be expending a lot more if we were backed up and there's a lot to catch up with? Is
We should
20
have been caught up.
Yeah, I think that was the catch up, was the 8,000,
budgeted, but only 24 has been spent?
correct?
And in 25, only 2,000 was spent.
Yeah, I think it might have actually been a carry forward from 2024 or 2023. It was just carried forward each year. And so that's why I was a little confused,
I see.
because we didn't, that's why I said it was 8,000, we spent 2,000, it was 8,000, we spent 2,400. So it increased by 400. I could say that would be 3,000. But I don't know what the other half of that is. And I'll go and confirm that. So I made a
Okay.
little mark to come back to that. Under contractual for assessing and mapping, that's just an increase from our property assessors. And then the quarterly review, they do that, and it's just a $250 increase each year. And that's all I
So the
have,
quarterly review, what's the number for that?
8,000.
8,000.
Any questions for assessing?
Well, what are these utilities and roads lines?
Nothing. I don't have anything down for the budget in previous years. They might have just been an additional line that was added.
Under assessing, that's
Yeah,
hard
I'm
to
not sure.
understand.
I can see if we can have those removed.
Ooh,
It's just kind of like weird. If we can't talk about what it is.
Yeah,
yep.
okay. All right, then we'll control the next one. Moving on to code enforcement in section 107. Just budgeted a flat 2.8% increase based off of the cost of living currently. So haven't talked with the town of Reedfield or the select board as far as moving forward with our interlocal agreement. KV cog dues, we've already gotten that. They haven't made any changes in their invoice between last year and this year, so it's flat at $27.94.
Did we pay them double in 2025? Did we?
We paid, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like we paid ahead if we didn't pay anything.
I'll
Well,
check
it
on
depends on
that.
whether the dues are due.
I'll check on what that was.
Mm.
Okay. And then under ordinance and mapping, I think that this is where some things have come out of general code, but we also have a separate general code account that was established with a balance of around 2,000, so I'm still trying to verify that, and I have a
Okay.
little tick mark to check it.
The general code account, I suggest, is probably the remainder of the grant that we received for them to
Yes.
do their initial work.
Correct.
At some point in time, I don't know if it's this fiscal year or the next one, someone needs to call them and find out when we have to pay the first bill for annual maintenance. It's 1,000 and whatever. It's more than one and less than $2,000, if I recall. I don't know the exact amount.
Yes, so I still have to verify with general code. On our last invoice, it said 20% of the preliminary draft for our general code was 1,999, which is where you see that year-to-date bill.
Uh-huh.
So that might just be 1/5. But I don't understand because we've already paid a good amount out of that general code account that we have.
Well, they have a schedule. If you pull up the contract, there's a schedule of what all the different things are
Yeah,
charged at. But after the 1 year of free maintenance, there's an annual maintenance fee that goes into effect. And so we need to find out when that starts. It may not start until the following fiscal year. I don't know when it starts, but if we have to pay it before the end of June, then we need to put it in the budget.
okay. So I've made a note of that. We'll get back to you on that. Any other questions under code enforcement? Any other questions on it overall? That would wrap up our first 1/3 of the budget.
And do we already cover the contingency was 3,000, still 3,000?
Yes, I don't have that.
Well, where
Okay.
did it come from? You said it was there, but it was somewhere else.
It might be, so I do the departments, when I printed this out, departments 100 through 113. Because then once you get into 114, it's capital transfers. And so I didn't put that in here yet because I just did an overall spreadsheet of where we're currently at. After that, it might have fallen into a different budget line. I don't know what that line number is right now. I think it's later though, back where schools and the county tax and things are too.
So you just give us pages to put in here and we'll just keep this under.
Yep, you can keep this going forward and make your notes. And then if we have any changes or anything, I'll just bring that back to you. We'll go over a final list. I'll print off a draft warrant for you and we'll go down through the categories. Just make sure we have all the same numbers.
This is extremely unhandy the way it prints.
Get the old one. You might have gotten an old one.
I got the let's be mean to Henry one.
It's confusing me a little.
Well, I know contingency's in there somewhere, but I can't find it, Hazel, but it's in there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That
There.
page that we
Trade, yeah.
have.
Did you make notes in this?
I don't know, but
I'll look. Oh, this is yours.
just leave it there. I will find. I'll bring it to you. I'll bring you a notebook.
I'll update it.
But it's in there somewhere and it was 3,000 last year and 3,000 again this year.
And it was 3,000.
Word for it.
It's been 3,000. Would you like to see any changes to that?
If you think it's
Contingency, no,
adequate,
I think it's
adequate.
okay.
Contingency at 3,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's hard to know what you,
Not knowing
This looks like,
if it's worked before.
We haven't spent anything out of it. We didn't spend anything out of it last year.
well, we will transfer for elections this year,
We will. Yes,
or else we'll be overrun on elections. We'll be
correct.
in the hole. I've got to update a few numbers, but the effect on this, it's in the 20s. for an increase total. And
Percentage or dollars?
dollars,
Okay.
20,000.
20, I figured you meant
Yeah,
that.
20,000 and it's in the low $20 on the tax bill for a $400,000 property. Just on what we've done so far. So the way it works out, because of our total assessed value, it's about $1. If you add $1,000 to the budget, it adds just about $1 to somebody that has a $400,000 property. If they got a 300,000, it adds 75 cents. If they got a 600,000, it adds $1.50
So do
for
you,
each $1,000 increase.
do you have the percentage that 20's,
Well, it's well, and this is this is a very small part of the budget, but last year, the last year's tax bill for a $400,000 property was $4,760. And we're gonna add $4,760, and we're gonna add somewhere between $20 and $25 to it with what we've done so far.
do you anticipate that we'll be dropping anything significantly? With what you've seen so far?
There were a couple of lines that she was gonna go back and check on though, that seemed to be a bit inflated.
Right.
So I've made a note to go back and look at the insurance under our contractual. To go back and look at the GIS map updates. To have the utilities and roads removed.
Mm.
I will look at general code.
So that contingent piece, because it's appeared in this budget as this group. That $3,000, we went up here, but that should go down somewhere else, should net.
Yes, correct. That's not gonna be in here.
Yeah,
So I think the
I put that as a zero increase, because it was
Yeah.
3,000 last year, it's 3,000 this year. I
Right.
figured that's a zero increase.
Yeah, that's not this line.
Yeah.
That line's gonna go away.
Yeah.
As you see, there was zero.
And I had a few numbers wrong. I need to look at my spreadsheet, but like I said, it's somewhere between 20 and $25.
Any other questions?
We're gonna send this to the budget committee in boxes, like show up on the warrant.
Yep. we can do
Okay.
that. Yep.
All right.
And then at the next budget meeting or a select board meeting on March 3rd, we'll go over animal control, the fire department, public safety, the transfer station and roads.
And do you get the information from the transfer station directly from Reedfield?
So I did get it from what you had last discussed in your meeting, so I have that in here.
Okay.
And so I already put it into the budget that you have right there. Just as until it's solidified from the transfer station. That should be what you received.
It's
All right, are we ready to move on?
Mhm.
Public comments. All right, board member reports. Lloyd and I and Shannon and Phil Saucier. Is that a right name, Saucier? Is that how you pronounce it? Saucier?
Mhm.
Saucier? Phil. Met with, via Zoom, met with Bill Lee, who is an opposing counsel, and the Pettingill Estate and Lee Howard to have an initial little back and forth on the 100-acre wood issue. And the gist of it is this, Bill Lee has two clients. The Pettingill Estate has a claim against the town for money arising out of our retention of the property. Billy's client, Lee Howard, wants to buy land from us. He wants to buy 20 acres. And they seem to want to put this together, which I guess is okay, but our initial response was, hey, these are two separate issues. As far as the purchasing the land, The town has said the land has to be maintained for conservation and low impact recreation, and it's not for sale. Who knows, that might change sometime in the future, but right now it's not for sale. There's nothing for us to talk about. As far as the claim for money, we asked Mr. Lee to send Phil a demand letter saying what it is exactly, what amount his client is demanding and why, and what's the legal basis for his claim that we actually own the money. And when we get that letter, we'll respond. And they were somewhat grumpy about the fact that this has been hanging on for quite some time, with, they think, without much action. It's hard for me to argue with that, but I promise that if they send us a demand, we will send them a prompt response. And that's about all I have to report on that.
When did you meet? Just last week? wasn't it?
Last Thursday, was it last Thursday, Shannon?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Last week, Thursday.
Mhm.
Do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think you said it.
Hey, Lloyd, you were at the meeting. Do you have anything to add?
Let me unmute you.
We muted you, Lloyd.
Spencer.
You gotta unmute.
Censored's the word.
Asked him to unmute.
It was the first time they suggested an amount, and clearly that's that 20% amount is just totally unacceptable anyway. But I think he had it right. I made no attempt to make any statements because I didn't want to do anything would compromise our bargaining position. So there we are. We'll have to see what they say, and we'll have to see what we're going to do.
And in the 20%, it was 20 acres. What Billy told us is that his client, Lee Howard, was interested in purchasing a parcel. He said perhaps 20 acres. And surprisingly, he said it didn't include lake frontage. So I'm not sure, but my understanding is it's not for sale, so.
Okay.
Any other board member reports?
I had one thing. Shannon, did you get that septic ordinance
ordinance.
that I sent you?
Yes, and we can add that to the next agenda.
Okay, well, I'd like to have it sent out to them beforehand so there's time to digest it.
Absolutely. I will send it out first thing in the morning.
Okay, that'd be great.
I get it. Digest, septic. That was good, Lloyd.
But give it to us in time to digest it. Well, Shannon, I jumped over you. Sorry. Tell us the town manager report.
You also jumped over. Is there any public comments?
No, I didn't. I asked about
You did?
that.
Oh, okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Could you say again what would be included in the demand letter?
I asked him to tell us how much he says, what does he think he's owed and why?
Legal claim.
What's his legal claim?
So I had some notes. I don't have them with me. So out of just memory, the comprehensive plan is going to be meeting at the town office tomorrow at 2 o'clock. The planning board has their planning board meeting rescheduled for next Thursday, the 26th at 6:30 p.m. I will be taking a hazard mitigation class for the next 3 Mondays with the state, through Maine Emergency Management Association in Augusta. And that's with our hazard mitigation advisor, our fire chief. So we'll be working on our hazard mitigation plan. And then what else? I'm trying to think. I think that's all I've got for right now.
Will you be taking any comp time for the time that you're working on Mondays?
No.
That's it. We're going to move into executive session. After that, I don't suspect any more action is going to occur other than adjourning. If anybody wants to stick around for that, you may. Otherwise, we'll just stay right where we are and go into executive session after you all have left. I'll make a motion that we enter executive session for personnel matter pursuant to 1 MRSA section 4056A.
Second,
Discussion? Henry says yes.
Mary Ann says yes.
Hazel says yes.
Lloyd?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
thanks for coming, guys.
Thanks.
It'd be fun to stick around,
Yeah.
That's fine.
that much fun.
Sometimes we mess up the adjourn part. You never know.
Executive
Are
session?
we supposed to? Yeah, let's do that. Okay.
Yep.
Motion to leave executive session?
Yes, motion to leave
That's what
executive.
they're on.
Oh,
Good.
do we?
Yeah, turn it
Okay.
on. We on?
Yeah.
I'll make a
Do I
motion,
have to give, oh, you go.
I'll make a motion that we leave executive session to discuss personnel matters under 1 MRSA section 4056A.
Second,
Henry says yes.
Mary Ann says yes.
Hazel says yes.
Tom says yeah.
Tom? Okay. We're taking no further action on this at this time. I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
Henry says yes.
Mary Ann says yes.
Hazel says yes.
Tom says yes.
Mary
many
Ann says
hours?
yes.
How many hours do we have left? No, I mean,
5:41.
for the year.